my bigger point is that the people that we want in Congress are the people that we don't have in Congress that don't want to be in Congress. And it takes a lot before you want to give up a great life, in my case as an entrepreneur, to deal with the hassle of and the obligation and the seriousness of becoming a congressperson, because it is serious. And like I said, the elites of our country, whether it's, look at Terry Tao, he's the world's greatest mathematician, maybe one of the best ever. Some people think he's the smartest person on planet Earth. He's a brilliant mathematician. He does not want to join Congress. His mind could more than help us. He could be an ally in all of this. But he loves his science, he loves his math. He's not interested in doing it. Like I said, Jeff Bezos organized and created one of the greatest businesses in America. No doubt he would help our country if he joined Congress. Doesn't want to do it. Why? It's too much of a pain in the ass. It's too much of a rat's nest. It's too much of a place where people are just backstabbing and fighting, and they have to be slimy to win. So why do it? It sounds like a mess. Every wealthy person I've talked to, when I've asked this question, they've said, that sounds like it would be take my quality of life from a 10 to a 1. Why did I make all this money to go pull my hair out in Congress? No way. No thanks, Martin. I'd rather ignore it. And I think that's just the kind of thing that's like, unfortunately, if we all do that, the only people running this country are going to be people that we don't want them to, that are going to send us into bankruptcy, that are going to do things like that. One of the reasons all the rich people I know
halfway there.
Yeah, well, exactly. One of the reasons the rich people I know own Bitcoin is because they think that it's possible that the US dollar will be worth absolutely nothing. Go ahead, Philip.
I had a question. What do you think about this New York bit license? It's a big one.
Well, I don't know a lot about it, but I think that our country should not be regulating, this form of money that has gotten a lot of acceptance. It's gotten a lot of, potential uses and things like that. I mean, you don't have to be a fan of Bitcoin. You just have to be a fan of freedom. If somebody wants to say, look, I have this electronic database entry and I want to trade you a good and service for it, so be it. Let them do that. That's freedom.
One more question.
Yeah.
There was I forgot the gentleman's name. He opened a stock exchange right next to the main one in Wall Street, and it got shut down. And it was Bitcoin based. It was beautiful, but it was shut down. Do you know anything about that?
I don't. I mean, we do have securities laws in this country. I think we have too many. And what's funny about law in general in this country is that it's not that we have too many laws, which we do. It's that the laws are very vague, and we interpret them in these like very loosey-goosey ways that one court will interpret it one way, another court will interpret it another way, and you're shit out of luck if you got the wrong court. And it could take 10 or 20 years before Supreme Court or anybody else decides, okay, this is the way you're supposed to interpret it. And then, and only then, might you have some clarity until the Supreme Court changes its mind again. And I know this from antitrust. There's a key law called Aspen skiing. It's literally about ski mountains. And the Supreme Court of the 70s made this important case about ski mountain competition. And every other Supreme Court since said that Supreme Court was wrong. And it's kind of this funny thing because it's like, well, isn't the Supreme Court supposed to like set the facts for life? And even then, we don't know for sure. And Roe v. Wade was a similar mess. So we have a very messed up legal system in this country, and it's not easy to come up with a good one either. But I think that the securities laws and things like that, they are important to some extent. And I think like a less is more is a better place to be. I think Gary Gensler and Democrats want a securities paradigm that's virtually impossible to navigate. For example, they hate crypto so much that they won't really let Coinbase exist under any circumstance. And that's something that is just not,
I disagree on that one, but that's neither here. Now's not the time for that conversation. But
yeah, all I'm saying is regulation is something that, I'm not a fan of. And I think that, there are certain securities or security-like kind of things.
They are a publicly traded company. And,
they are.
So, if anyone should be subject to regulation by the SEC in the crypto world, it would be them.
Yeah, they are allowed to, they are subject to like filing a 10Q and a 10K, and they have to abide by certain stock market, kind of standards. But I think in terms of like actually regulating crypto itself, a light touch is the best touch, and at least a touch that's fair. I think Coinbase sent a letter to the SEC recently begging for regulation. They said, just give us the Give us what we need to do.
Yeah, that was all PR. It was a beautifully written anonymous. Actually, me and Don Restark joked because I was like, "How much do you think it cost him to get that brief written?" And he guessed about 15 million.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You know, they've done a fantastic job with PR. Their request for regulation just got rejected because the SEC said we already regulate you under the Securities and Exchange Act of 1933 and 1934, just like every other public company.
Yeah, and they're not just regulating the public company; they're regulating the product, which is crypto, and
right.
they don't.
They're regulating it. They're basically telling them they need to register either as an exchange or a broker-dealer.
I don't think we're going to agree on this, but
Coinbase simply refuses to do that.
I don't think we're going to end up agreeing on this, but I do think that the heavy regulation by the SEC is in my opinion, just unwarranted, and it leads to more of the same kind of corruption where you have a fiefdom, and that fiefdom is occupied by people who are lawyers, and that those lawyers have a revolving door with big law firms and government, and it just keeps going round and round and round. And to get anything done, you need to kiss the ring, you need to pay millions of dollars. And it's just, I've been there. I've been there with the SEC where, if you pay millions of dollars to the right person, a lot of those people work at Paul Weiss, some of them work at Latham and Watkins, some of them work at, any law firm in New York or DC. If you pay enough people and you hire the right names, you have a much better chance of getting your thing done than if you don't. And I think that's, one of the things that's a little bit unavoidable. But
you may not know about Coinbase because
we don't have to talk about Coinbase. We don't have to talk about Coinbase. It's not that.
Yeah, I have something if I can chime in.
I want to talk about me.
The deals they dump on retail investors, and I don't think you'd agree with that either.
Yeah, maybe not.
They would list tokens that were pre-sold to insiders.
Coinbase is
basically dump on retail investors.
Coinbase is a big can of worms.
Right.
Philip?
Quick question, if you don't. Yeah. This is for Nora as well, because she said something about people being at work and just not getting stuff done. There's a lot of that going on everywhere in all industries. I'm at FedEx, and I agree regulation stifles. What do you think about rating of salaries and even per hour pay, and it's per task complete?
And replacing it with task like per unit production type stuff?
Well,
sure. Let's go that route.
I think the government has no role in a lot of this stuff. And that's kind of my general viewpoint on everything. Any question that you might have is generally it's not the government's business. That's my perspective. That's generally. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay.
I just wanted to, I was just going to say that if you only pay people per unit, then essentially you're encouraging them to do sloppier work so they can get it done faster.
Yeah, I mean, my point on that is that, labor is a market too, and firms have the right to negotiate for labor. I don't think any labor should be protected, to be frank, and that may be something people don't like to hear. But I think if McDonald's can find a way to serve burgers with trash,